Hello. Been a long time since I did an update on what's been going on in the house, and I made a New Year's resolution that this is the year I'm going to get back to it. Today I'm going to start out by updating you on what's going on in the ground floor north end of the house. This is where I have the large reception room and a garden entrance and two small rooms. One of them is a toilet, and I'm going to be creating cloakroom slash powder room with toilet stalls, and then the garden entrance will have more coat racks, and then this all will be rentable space for weddings, receptions, art openings, retreats, conferences. I don't know, I have lots of ideas of how it could be used, but right now I'm just getting it ready for that. So when you first walk into this little antechamber towards the toilets, it's off of the garden entry, you can see that the wall is really thick, and that's because this is the old exterior wall. So you can see this pair of brown wood doors that it was a closet, and the doors are from the 18th century, and they had been on a wardrobe, and they took them off of the wardrobe. Maybe the wardrobe was damaged or something. And I've seen this quite a bit in France and in this region, where they use the doors then to build in and create a closet. So that's what had been done here to hide the hot water tank. But it was really weird how they did it, because when they built the wall above the doors, it didn't go all the way to the ceiling. It just went part way. And so it created these weird nooks and crannies. And when I opened up the closet, I saw that it was all full of mold. So when my friends came, spring of 2023, the first demo project we did was to take apart this closet and get that mold out of here. Kept the doors. I cleaned them and treated them for woodworm and bugs and fungus and mold and whatever else. The hot water tank, though, had to stay. So taking apart the closet revealed it, but it has to stay for now because it does heat the water for my bathroom upstairs. And until I'm ready to remodel that room, I'm just going to keep the hot water tank and just hide it. I have an idea for hiding it. You can also see when the cabinet came out that the floor inside the cabinet was this star pattern. These are probably end of the 19th century concrete tiles. I also have them in another room in the house, but it's the whole room. Here they just left them in the closet and put in different flooring for the rest of the room. So I have to deal with taking that out and trying to match the tile. So my idea for this space was to take out the wall in between the toilet and this little laundry room anteroom. But to do that, I had to take out the water lines and electrical lines that were crossing the wall. And in the photo, you can see the red lines that point to things that need to be done. It's a picture I sent to my electrician and plumber to say, these gotta go. While we were waiting for that, my friends came again in spring of 2024, and the big project was to take the wallpaper off in these rooms and paint. But the wallpaper was a god-awful mess. It was a woven plastic material stuff that just disintegrated when it was coming off. And the big surprise was that underneath it all was mold, black wall-to-wall ceiling, solid black mold. And so we didn't paint, we just got the wallpaper off, and then I had to stop and think, okay, now what? So I just let it sit, because after my friends left, I wasn't working in these spaces. But then I decided to have a Halloween party with a friend. And so November of 2024 was approaching, and I was like, what am I going to do about this mold? Because I need to use this bathroom for the party. So the first thing I did was I tried just scraping the paint off of the plaster, because it seemed like maybe the mold was just in the paint, but it was deeper than the paint. So I started on the exterior wall side and around the windows, because around the windows I want to leave the stone exposed anyway. So I started scraping into the plaster, and my goal was to get as much plaster off of the walls in the room as I could, and just have the bare stone walls for when I had the party. But as the plaster started coming off, I noticed that the mold actually went into some of the wood behind the plaster, the lath and plaster construction. It was in the lats, and as I was taking it off of those, the it's a very interesting construction. I'd never seen it before, but apparently it's a very old style of doing construction. The lats make like a cage, and inside was little stones. And so the little stones started falling out. And so I just had to stop working on that wall and just focus on the exterior walls. And at one point I realized I just was running out of time. I wasn't going to be able to get all the plaster off. And then I couldn't reach the ceiling. And then there's this other wall where if I took the plaster off, the stones were going to fall out. So I was like, what am I going to do? So the idea I came up with was just, it's only one night for a couple of hours. I'm just going to paint the mold, hide it, seal it in, and I'll figure out what to do later. So then while I was painting the wall with the little stones, I realized that at the top, little stones were falling over into the reception room side. So that told me it wasn't secured at the top. It was just kind of freestanding, um, which didn't seem like a very good idea to me. But I got it all painted gray, and then I made a star stamp with some cork, and I stamped the ceiling and got to decorating for Halloween. I just kind of went with the whole dilapidated, falling apart vibe, and I had some old curtains I kept just to be to cut up for the lace, but I kind of zhuzhed them and made them so they weren't quite as much falling apart, and hung those up for a Mrs. Haversham kind of a vibe. Um, Borrowed some taxidermy from the neighbors, and black tulle, kind of gothy. And Halloween party was great, had a great time. And then to get ready for this coming season, when I have groups of people coming, not just to do demolition work, but also I have a hat making workshop coming. I have some sword fighters who are coming to do some training. Um, so now it's like, okay, now I can't just hide the mold. I got to make this space usable. And my goal was to put in a second toilet. And I got grumbles from some plumbers about whether or not I was going to be able to do a second toilet, but I found somebody willing to work with me. so, so I found someone who would work with me to get two toilets, and who loves old houses and stone, and would restore the joints in the stones for me. And he's been great to work with. So not only did we take out the wall between the toilet and this little anteroom, um, we also took out the wall that had the little stones falling over the top of the wall and falling out in between, and the wood was moldy and blah, blah, blah. We just took it out. I said, let's do that and then rebuild it about 4 to 6 inches into the reception room so that it could be secured against the beam at the top, at the ceiling. I don't need more room in this space, but I just felt like I wanted this to be a secure wall. And we made it a little bit thicker than it was originally so we could add extra insulation and prevent sound traveling between the powder room and the reception room. So everything you see in these pictures on the ceiling and to the right and the back wall is sheetrock, insulated and sheetrocked. We lowered the ceiling just a little bit to insulate the ceiling because my bedroom is above it, and insulating the ceiling means insulating my bedroom. And since this space won't be heated and used all the time, preventing the cold from, traveling, it was going to help my heating for my room. When you look at the wall with the hot water tank, the before picture, you can see still has plaster, and there's wires and water pipes. And in the more current picture, the wires are all gone. The electrical box, junction box that was there is gone. To do that, I had to cut the power to my room, which isn't fun. I have a very long extension cord going from this room through my bathroom into my bedroom so that I can have my alarm clock and charge my phone at night. But it meant that I could get this part of this wall done. So really happy with how this wall looks. This with the exposed stone and the joints redone, and the the single door that was here is out in these pictures, the later pictures, and you can see the beam at the top, and there's some insect damage there that was revealed when we took the other door out. So that's going to get treated. And then I was hoping, and it looks like it's going to work out, that the closet doors from the reception room, the closet that was taken out as part of this work, can be used for this door opening. So you go from the garden entry with double doors into the powder room, and then towards the toilet stalls. And it looks like it's going to work. So I'm currently working on paint stripping those so that I don't have to try and do it once they're in place. The doors to the reception room are also double doors. So having double doors at each side in this space, it echoes the design, and it, instead of having a more, I think it was probably a 1900s door, so it's still an old door, but now it'll have an even older door, because the space is really, the design style is really playing with the age of the house, so the stone and the beams, and the old closet doors. So when they took out the one thing that we had to deal with was the concrete star tiles. So he busted those out and was able to find stone tiles close enough to the ones that are already in this room, so that I didn't have to redo the entire stone floor, because that would have doubled the cost of the entire project, because stone is not cheap. And so it's in the pictures, it's darker and the grout lines are darker, but he said it's going to lighten up and it should be very close to the other colors. If it doesn't, if I'm still not happy with how it looks after it dries, I can also just put a rug over it. So between the two windows is where the wall used to be, dividing the powder room and the toilets. It was a toilet and a sink. Now it's toilets. So with that out, now you can see both windows at the same time, which I love. And that's where the double sinks are going to go. And actually just today I finished getting that plumbed and put in. So that's where the double sinks go. I found a really nice retro style porcelain double sink, and it's going to have two gold mirrors and a light bar that's like for over art, with the arching neck. I think it's going to look really great. My plumber originally wasn't sure that we were going to be able to put in two toilets. He had some doubts, but we figured it out. Super excited about that. And then we were talking about doors, stall doors, and I said, I really was hoping maybe we could use these old closet doors to make the stall doors. And of course, very French response. Oh, c'est impossible. It's impossible. There's no way it'll work. And then one day when they were working, they sent me a message and said, hey, can you come and take a look at something? And I come out and look, and they had it like braced into place with clamps. And he said, yeah, I think we can make it work. And what they did was, from cutting out the old wall, the vertical posts, they were big posts like this. They kept all of those old materials as they were doing the work. And so they used those to make the frame on each side for the door to be attached to it and to fill a little bit of a gap on each side. And it's just really, I just love it. It's super amazing. But when they're closed, you don't even know there's toilets there. It just looks like, there's a wardrobe down at the end of the room. And so it just like keeps that 18th century old feeling, old style of the house. And they were excited about it when it could work out, because they also like old buildings. And the other day after they got the mirrors hung and the light attached, they said, you have good taste. I'm like, well, thank you. I know, but thank you. So it's really an awesome project, and it's fun to see, when you have something in your head, and you think it'll work, and you measure it out, and you think it'll work, and then you get elements from different places. Like the sink came from one place, the faucets came from another, the mirror came from another, toilets from another place. Like, and it all comes together and it works. That's like one of my favorite moments, is seeing that when it all comes together. Another project I'm working on while they're doing this is I'm restoring two brass and crystal chandeliers. One will go over the toilets and one will go over the sink area. And I'm waiting for a couple more supplies to come before I can finish the last steps of putting them back together. But today I rewired the second one, and so now it's just ready to put the faux candles back together. So those are going to go in very soon. That'll be part of the reveal. Yeah, and then the doors, super close to being done. And so the next video will be the big reveal. In this one, you've gotten to see kind of the progress, how it started, how it's going, how it's almost there. And then soon I'll show you it all done. And hopefully that'll be next. Thanks as always. Please subscribe, like, and share.